At the time of this recording, I've lost over 20 pounds on a GLP-1 medication after years of struggling and gaining weight after menopause. If I could go back and talk to myself at the beginning of this journey, here's what I tell myself about side effects. Before I dive in, I want to be really clear. This is just my experience. I haven't had every side effect, and GLP medications affect everyone differently, but I have learned a lot over these past 29 weeks, and I'm hoping that by sharing what's working for me, you'll find something helpful for your own journey. If you're new here, hi, I'm Bobby. I'm a therapist and an artist, and I'm sharing my GLP-1 weight loss journey here on YouTube. I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not your therapist. None of this is medical advice or mental health advice. Always talk to your own healthcare providers when you make decisions for yourself. Okay, let's talk about side effects, because a lot of you wanted to hear about that. And speaking of you guys, I really want to make videos about stuff that you want to hear about. So I wrote 2 questions for you. There's a link in the description. It's asking you what your biggest problem is and what you most want to ask me. And I would so appreciate if you would fill that out, because it'll help me to create videos, that will help you. Thank you. Link in description. Okay, side effects. I have not had all the possible side effects of GLP-1 medications. Thank God, right? But I've had a lot of them. And I'm going to walk you through the ones I've had and how I've dealt with them. And then I'll introduce you to a lot of other common side effects so they're at least on your radar. So what's my experience been like with side effects? You might have already heard this. Gastrointestinal side effects are the most common side effects. And that has been true for me. Let's talk about it. Specifically, and this won't surprise you if you have been following me for a while, let's talk about constipation. If you're on a GLP-1 and you've struggled with constipation, leave me a poop emoji in the comments so that I know that I'm not alone. I mean, I know I'm not alone, but it's always nice because here I am sitting on the internet talking about poop. I mean, help me out. Okay. For me, I had pretty bad constipation when I was on semaglutide. That was the first 4 months of my journey. It was really uncomfortable, and honestly, I was frustrated for many weeks. Fortunately, once I switched to Zepbound, my constipation went away, and I am really grateful to not be dealing with constipation anymore. That wasn't the reason I switched or anything. I'd gotten a handle on it on the semaglutide, but not having to do all the things, I'll tell you about all the things in a minute, but not having to do all that is really nice. So, like I said, constipation, super common. One of the effects of this medication is it slows down your digestion, and that gives your body more time to absorb the water that's in your colon. And so it dries out what's in there. So slowed down and dry, recipe for constipation. It's not fun. So what helped me was figuring out the regime that kept me regular. But before I tell you what worked for me, let me tell you what didn't work. What didn't work was waiting every day and thinking, I've had lots of water and fiber. I bet I'll poop tomorrow. Day after day after day. Don't do it. The longer you wait, the harder and drier your poop gets. I waited way too long. Was I too optimistic? I don't think I was too optimistic. I think I was just naive about the amount of intervention I needed to get regular. So it took me a long time to figure it out, and it was not fun. So I already mentioned water, fiber. At the advice of my doctor, I added Miralax every day. She reassured me that it's not a stimulant laxative. It just helps your GI tract absorb more water. And so it was safe to take every day. And it helped a bit, but not totally. What really helped me the most was magnesium, but not just any magnesium. I had to experiment with different kinds. I tried magnesium citrate because it's a known laxative. Didn't really do anything. I tried a magnesium supplement that one of my friends, Delilah Rodriguez, I'll put her handle up here because she's a content creator and she makes really great videos. She's a delight. So she had found the magnesium supplement that worked for her. So it was working for her. So I was like, great, I'll try that. Tried it, didn't work for me. Then I tried Mago 7. That worked for me. But see, it hadn't worked for Delilah. So that's why it's so important to figure out what works for you, because it's going to be unique to you. The daily Miralax with the Mago 7 and staying hydrated and eating fiber, that was my daily regime. I also added 5 prunes every day, and I never was sure if the prunes helped, but it's so ingrained in me from like my mom and her mom that prunes or prune juice is the cure for constipation, that I just felt like compelled to eat prunes if I was struggling with constipation. Don't know if it helped, but I like them. So it was all good. Anyway, that whole regime made it so that I could totally live and poop like a normal person. Then I switched meds and I didn't need to do that anymore. So that's great. Bottom line, don't just wait for it to resolve. You got to take action and talk to your doctor. During the 4 months that I was on semaglutide, I talked to my doctor more about constipation than anything else. She was really helpful and helped me understand what was safe to take every day and what I should try to minimize. If you're going through something similar, I really encourage you to talk to your doctor. Not all doctors are GLP-1 experts, but most of them seem to know about constipation. And it might take you some trial and error to figure out your constipation, but your doctor can hopefully help you with that. If you're on a GLP-1 and you've struggled with constipation and you found out what worked for you, can you do me a favor and leave it in the comments? Because someone else might read it and that might be the thing that helps them. I know I don't have all the answers here. Thanks. By the way, if you're watching this and you're getting value from it, I would be so grateful if you hit the like button. It really helps YouTube know that this is something to share with other viewers who can be helped out by information like this. Thanks. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about constipation. Now we're going to talk about nausea. It is a very common side effect. When I was on semaglutide, I had very little nausea, a little light queasiness now and then, but nothing that I had to do anything about. It just kind of came and went in a quick wave. But when I started Zepbound, the nausea was more noticeable. Sometimes it would be directly tied to something I ate, like if it was greasy or too rich. Other times I realized that I hadn't had enough to drink that day and I might be kind of dehydrated. So getting some hydration would help with the nausea. I find that it goes down easier when I'm feeling queasy to add electrolytes to my water. I use LMNT. I've tried different electrolytes. I really like LMNT. It agrees with me the best. I feel like my body just absorbs it really well. Sometimes drinking plain water when I already feel a little off can make me feel more queasy, and that doesn't happen with LMNT. I actually have a link below where you can get a free sample pack of LMNT. I'll put it in the pinned comment and in the description. I find it to be a little expensive, but it's one of the things I've been willing to spend money on because I've tried other ones and they just don't work as well for me. So this is one of those quality of life things where even though I'm super frugal and I love a good bargain, I'm not cheaping out on my electrolytes. Back to queasiness. There are times when I did nothing and it would just go away. It was mainly when I first started Zepbound, like the first shot or two, I had some queasiness at day 2 or 3. And then I stopped getting nauseous. And then when I upped my dose to 5 milligrams, I noticed that queasiness came back at day 2 or 3 for the first, I think, 2 shots. And now I don't get queasy. I'm at the 5 milligrams still and haven't really had queasiness unless I've eaten something really rich or I'm kind of dehydrated. I try not to get dehydrated. I have this with me all the time. This has LMNT in it, but sometimes it happens that I just am behind on drinking water for the day. And one of the ways I realize that isn't that I feel thirsty, it's that I'll feel kind of queasy. If it is nausea related to something you ate or not having enough liquids or something that you can get to a root cause, then once you fix the root cause, it usually goes away. But if I'm queasy and there's just no root cause, except I have to wait it out because it's dose related, my body's just not used to it yet, I have some things that I found that work for me. Anything ginger tea, ginger chews, smelling ginger, even putting a dry ginger tea bag in a baggie and keeping it in my car, one in my car and one by my desk. So I can just open up the baggie and sniff the ginger really helps. Peppermint is another go-to. Peppermint tea, sucking on a peppermint candy will also kind of quell the nausea. And then sometimes just eating a little something bland and dry, like a rice cake, helps, even if I don't feel like eating because I feel, kind of queasy. My favorite tip actually is just to talk to your doctor about an anti-nausea med like Zofran. I keep some Zofran handy. It kicks in really fast. It works like a charm. When nothing else helps, I'll take a Zofran and my nausea will go away. That totally sounded like an ad for Zofran, and I swear I am not a drug rep. It's not right for everyone, so obviously talk to your doctor. but that's sort of my surefire solution if some of the other strategies aren't working. The other thing for nausea that I found helpful is to track my triggers. I realized for me that I never used to get car sick, and I started to feel a little queasy as a passenger in a car, but not as a driver. This popped up especially when I increased my dose from 2.5 to 5 milligrams. So yeah, now I just know that when I'm riding in a car, like I used to be able to read on my phone if I wanted to, and I can't do that anymore. I feel lucky that my nausea has been pretty mild all around. I haven't vomited from feeling nauseous, knock on wood. But there was one day right after my first Zepbound shot where I had that feeling like I wish I could throw up, but I can't feeling. But that's when I took a Zofran and it worked really well. So overall, my side effects have been really mild.
Editing Bobby again. I filmed this video at home, but I'm editing it in Norway. What? And for some reason, the hotel I'm in has this terrifying lit up owl thing above the bed. It's haunting me. But I'm here to say there's no weigh-in this week because I don't have my scale with me because I'm on vacation. And you might be saying, Bobby, you just went on vacation. I know. We feel really lucky to be able to travel as much as we do. My husband and I are both self-employed, and he racks up a lot of airline miles and hotel points through his work, which helps us really stretch a travel budget to be able to take a lot of trips. And I love bringing you along.
We are moving right along to talk now about everyone's favorite issue, diarrhea. Diarrhea isn't something I've really struggled with a lot, but I'm going to talk about it here because I have had some experience with it and I have some thoughts. So what your digestive system can handle changes on a GLP-1 med. If you're already on one, I'm sure you know this and have noticed it. So what I can handle changes, and I'm figuring it out as I go along. Let me give you a real life example of when I messed up and how you can avoid it. It was just this one time that I've had full-on diarrhea since I started a GLP-1, and it was something I ate. I had a pretty greasy meal. My husband and I were at a Georgian restaurant. Georgian food has lots of vegetables and very like GLP-1 friendly options, but for whatever reason, what we ordered that night, I just like wasn't thinking, and it was a lot of cheese and meat, and it was delicious. But those are the things that, are best consumed in small quantities, and I didn't consume them in very small quantities that night. I woke up in the middle of the night and had to run to the bathroom. I was on vacation. I mean, diarrhea is never fun, but in the middle of the night, when you'd rather be sleeping and you're on vacation in an unfamiliar place, it just was not fun. Overall, your best bet is to avoid greasy or fried foods. The upside is that on these medications, those kinds of foods tend to lose their appeal. I know that sounds wild. I would have never imagined that that would happen to me, but it just doesn't hit the same anymore. So I just don't miss it. It's not like I have to resist eating it. Like it just isn't that appealing. Constipation is more common as a side effect than diarrhea. That's been true for me, and the research shows that that's the case. But for me, if I eat the wrong thing, I'm going to get diarrhea. So episodic diarrhea is more just an unpleasantness, but chronic diarrhea definitely should be something you talk about with your doctor. So that's all I have to say about diarrhea today. Let's talk about fatigue and low energy. It's another pretty common side effect for a lot of people, myself included. It's a temporary one that's your body adjusting to the medication. And then once your body gets used to whatever dose you're at, the fatigue wears off. Some people do struggle with it more consistently, and I can't speak to that since it has not been my experience, but I know that it happens. So again, I would say talk to your doctor. For me, when I'm feeling really tired, proteins and electrolytes are my first intervention, because it might be the medication just making me feel tired no matter what, but it also might be that the medication has decreased my appetite and I haven't eaten enough or drank enough. So the first thing I do if I notice that I'm fatigued is that I eat something with protein in it and I hydrate with electrolytes. My experience has been that it doesn't always eliminate the fatigue, but it helps it. So that's why it's my first thing that I do. And sleep, of course. I'm a napper. I like taking naps. When I first started semaglutide, the first 4 days after my first shot, I was very tired and I tried to take little naps. The other thing I've noticed though is that if I'm super fatigued, it does not help for me to stay sedentary all day. So just resting like a sloth on the couch might be what I feel like doing, but actually getting some fresh air, taking like a slow, not a power walk, but just like some kind of slow walk, that actually helps my fatigue more. Getting sunlight first thing in the day is something that's good for energy. I am not a morning person. I don't generally even go outside in the morning, but I do sit next to a sunny window, and I'm calling that good. If you've got fatigue dragging on, look at your eating and be really honest with yourself. Are you skipping meals? Skipping meals makes me crash, and it still happens. Usually there's like 3 times a week where I just will skip breakfast or lunch because I just, get busy or get out of my normal schedule, or we're traveling. And so I'm definitely off my normal schedule. But I notice my energy is not as good. So that motivates me to try to make sure to get 3 meals a day, keeps my energy a lot more consistent. Overall, I haven't felt like I have low energy on this medication. The fatigue that I've dealt with has been around my body adjusting to doses, and then, if I get really hungry or thirsty. I would say if you have really bad fatigue and it's not going away as your body adjusts to whatever dose you're on, or as you make sure, you're eating and drinking and sleeping, then, absolutely talk to your doctor. I know some people who have reduced their dose because their fatigue was so bad. It's something I know some people have done when they've struggled with fatigue that just didn't seem like it had any cure. The medication was just making them super tired all the time, because who wants to live like that? Those are my thoughts on fatigue and low energy. I'm going to review now some side effects that I haven't had that are really common, just so you know that they're out there. I can't speak to them personally, so you want to be aware of sulfur burps. Does anything sound grosser? I'm very grateful I haven't had them. I probably just jinxed myself. I'm probably going to get them. So that's another weird thing about side effects, is they tend to crop up and go away kind of randomly. People can be going along for months, and then all of a sudden they have a new side effect. So I hope I don't get sulfur burps. Universe, hear my prayer. But they are a thing that can happen, and they're just what they sound like, where you burp and the gas is really sulfuric and unpleasant to taste and smell, and a pretty common side effect. Acid reflux is another gastrointestinal side effect that is not uncommon. If you start to experience acid reflux, it could be a side effect of the medication. And talk to your doctor about how to treat it. Sleep changes are another thing that people have mentioned they've experienced. Insomnia, not sleeping as well. I already talked about fatigue, but changes in like sleep cycle. I don't think I have this. I wore an Oura ring for a while and I didn't notice any big changes. All of these things are pretty common side effects. You can see some of them I've had and some of them I haven't. I just want you to know these are all on the radar for GLP-1 side effects. Besides side effects, there are so many other things that I didn't know early on in my journey or before I started. To find out what I wish I knew before I started a GLP-1 after menopause, watch this video next. See you there.